on board, so right now apples and oranges are my favorite food just because we haven't had them in so long. Over. Well, when we look out the window in the daytime, we do see Earth that's all lit up, but we also, if you look the other way, it's pure darkness. So in that sense, yeah, we do see more darkness. Now we have several more sunsets and sunrises every day, so if we're having to be looking out the window a lot throughout the day, we'll see a lot more darkness up here than you do on Earth. That's a great question, and we hadn't figured that one out yet. We don't have an actual shower here, but all we can do is wet down a washcloth or a towel and put a little liquid soap on it and kind of scrub ourselves down every day. Over.
Là, il raconte comment ils se lavent. Il dit qu'en fait, ils ont des serviettes, ils mettent du savon dedans et puis ils se frottent avec.
Well, you won't see the effects really while you're in space, but you will see them when you come back to Earth. And that's, you'll have bone density loss, bone mass loss, muscle mass loss, and your body in general just will not be in the shape it was when you came home. So exercise is extremely important for us. We do it 2 hours a day, every day while we're up here. Over.
Il raconte qu'il fait 2 heures d'exercice par jour parce que sinon quand on redescend sur Terre on perd beaucoup de muscles mais aussi de masse musculaire.
If we're looking out at the right time, we can see the same planets that you see from Earth. We're only about 400 kilometers closer than you are, so with planets being millions and millions of kilometers away, we're really not that much closer. So we do see them a little clearer because we don't have the atmosphere that you have to look through when you're on the Earth to see the planets. But in general, they look very much similar to they do on Earth. Over. I haven't heard any sounds lately. I've been outside spacewalking a few times, and you do hear kind of a few creaks and things of the vehicle. The robotic arm recently was moving a lot, so we did hear a little bit of that as it was moving around. Over.
Ouais, il raconte ce qu'il entend, il dit en fait on n'a pas entendu de bruit depuis longtemps, sinon on entend les bruits de machinerie. Il n'y a pas longtemps, encore une fois, parce que...
Well, I know there's 5 right now, and they're all attached to the space station. There are 2 Soyuz, Russian Soyuz spacecraft, and that's the ones our crews flew up on. There's a Russian Progress vehicle, which is just a cargo ship. It's attached here as well. And we have a Japanese cargo vehicle, which just arrived 2 days ago. And that's attached, so including the space station, that's 5 vehicles right here. The Chinese also have a space station that's in orbit right now. And there's several other spaceships, maybe a handful, that are out looking at other planets, like Mars and Jupiter and Saturn and those kind of things. And satellite-wise, there are thousands of satellites, and they're way higher than we are, so they're not in our way, but I know there's quite a few out there. Over.
Je pense que la question c'était combien il y a de véhicules spatiaux dans l'espace en ce moment. Vu qu'il y avait 5 véhicules attachés à la station spatiale.
We typically have 6 astronauts on board the space station. We come up in groups of 3 because that's what the Soyuz, the Russian Soyuz spacecraft holds. So my group of 3 is myself and 2 cosmonauts from Russia. And the other crew is a Russian, an American, and a French astronaut. So right now we have 6 people on board, and most missions are around 5 to 6 months long. Our spacewalking suits are very heavy, to answer your second question there. They weigh about 250 pounds on Earth, but of course up here they don't weigh anything, which is nice. However, we still need someone to help us put them on because they're very bulky, and usually you get in and you need help of 1 or 2 other people. The suits are made of a material called TMG, which is thermal micrometeor garment. So it's just a bunch of layers, I think about 8 layers, that culminate in kind of the white part on the outside that you see when we're going out to do spacewalks. Over.
Oui, j'ai pas écouté, je suis désolée, je crois qu'il parlait de son scaphandre pour aller faire des sorties extravasculaires.
Qu'il était très lourd. Il était très lourd, j'ai pas pris le poids en pound, il faut le convertir.
We have a lot of machinery on board, as you might imagine. The most important things, I think, are the things that allow us to survive. So machines that produce oxygen for us to breathe, machines that scrub harmful contaminants out of the air so we don't breathe those. Those kind of things are the most important, including things like the bathroom, which kind of sounds funny, but it's a very important piece of hardware up here, and if it's broken, then it's a big deal. While we're flying around, we don't use a whole lot of fuel. The only time we'll use fuel is if we're going to reorient ourselves, which happens every few months or so. If another vehicle is arriving, we sometimes have to reorient the space station, and we'll use a little bit of fuel. But in general, we do not use a lot. The orbit that we're in just kind of keeps us here, and that way we don't have to use a lot of fuel. Over.
Là, il explique qu'ils n'utilisent pas du tout de carburant. En fait, ils en utilisent un petit peu quand il faut remettre la station en orbite, parce que régulièrement l'orbite baisse, et donc il faut la repositionner pour qu'elle continue sur sa trajectoire. Mais sinon, ils n'utilisent pas du tout.
Well, I always wanted to be an astronaut, but before that, I was an engineer by schooling, and then I was a helicopter pilot in the Army, so my skills include flying Apache helicopters, and here at NASA, I'm a robotics flyer as well as a spacewalker. And I just always wanted to do that. Being an engineer was part of my life as well. So, but being an astronomer or something like that, or astrophysicist, were not things that I wanted to do. I'm not sure why, but I had different career paths. Over.
C'est un Américain, Shane.
Oui.
The only thing I've seen on this trip, and it was just a few weeks ago, was I was looking out the window at night over the North Atlantic, and I saw an aurora, which is this beautiful, beautiful green kind of flowing gas-looking thing that lit up the northern sky. So that was really special.
On les entend pas, mais on les a
Il
sur
raconte,
papier.
on a vu la question, ça devait être qu'est-ce qui vous a le plus
les entend pas.
depuis que vous êtes là, il raconte qu'il a vu
Faut être à
une aurore
côté, faut les
boréale à
avoir.
travers la vie. Ça fait des
We have a lot of main aims. The main thing, though, is science and research. So we're doing hundreds and hundreds of experiments, most of those every day, to further figure out the effects of microgravity on a human body, and we're trying to learn a lot of things so that we can eventually send humans to places like Mars, so way away from the Earth. So we're trying to gather all that information we can. Our mission also has a couple of spacewalks coming up in early January, so if you get to see part of those, I'll be going outside for 2 spacewalks on January 6th and January 13th. Over.
Ok, là à la fin il disait, on l'a dû demander ce qu'il faisait, donc il raconte qu'il fait plein d'expériences, beaucoup pour étudier l'effet de la micropesanteur sur le corps humain, pour bien comprendre comment ça se passe, pour envoyer des gens après sur des voyages encore plus longs vers Mars. Et que là, il va avoir début janvier 2 sorties dans l'espace.
Je pense que c'est fini. Si. Là, c'est passé derrière la colline. On l'a senti, il y avait le souffle.
Donc il est par là-bas, c'est ça?
Ouais, c'est ça. Il est bas dans l'axe de l'antenne, derrière la colline.
Tout là-bas, derrière l'église.
Voilà, et on l'entend plus, ça a coupé net.
Quelque part loin.
C'est bon.